Fairbanks Focus is a locally produced public affairs program created in part by University of Alaska Fairbanks, KTVF, and Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation.
Welcome to Fairbanks Focus Alaska View. I'm Sam Allen, and today my guests are Rob and Tara from Ursa Major Distillery. So, how did you guys come up with the idea to make this a business?
Boy,
or how did it all start?
It's kind of a long story, so we can kind of give you the nutshell version, I suppose. But it's something I've always been interested in. I was a brewer all through college, brewing beer and things like that. And I always kind of thought the whole micro brewery scene was pretty cool, and I wanted to kind of get into that sort of thing. But being in college and having no money and things like that, it never really came to fruition. So I kind of just kept with the brewing and kind of got interested in distilling a little bit. Started looking into the laws and all that, and it was pretty tough to get the license and a pretty steep fine if you got caught. So it was kind of you can't really practice distilling much. And so it was something I kind of threw around and never really kind of put on the back burner for a while. But then we were in the Caribbean. We did a little distillery tour down there, and the Bacardi distillery, and they've got kind of a cool little setup of kind of their original operation, like a mock-up of what it used to be like. And I thought, I think we could do something like that. And pretty much we got back from that trip and started planning and putting it all together and started applying for permits and pretty much got going that way.
Before we knew it, we had a distillery in our yard.
Yeah, it kind of came down to you can't really do it as a hobby. So we figured, if we're going to put the money in, well, you can do it as a hobby, but you have to put a lot of money and time and effort into it, kind of thing. We figured if we're going that far to be legal, we might as well sell some and try to make back what we got into it. So It's still kind of a small hobby distillery, but yeah, we're hoping to expand and get bigger here.
So where is the distillery?
It is on our property up on Sheena Ridge right now. So it's a separate building according to federal law. It has to be that, and there are certain zoning things we had to go through. But yeah, it's on our residential lot up on Sheena Ridge.
Okay, very cool. And so it's one thing to be like, yeah, I'm going to build a distillery and make my own alcohol, but at what point did it really sink in when you're like, we're actually doing this?
Boy, it still hasn't yet, I think.
Yeah.
It just seems to be such a, it's a never-ending kind of thing. We spent a year doing permits and things, and now we're actually making products and getting them on the market, but I don't know if really reality's set in yet at all.
I think this summer was a big turning point. We started distilling a lot, got stuff out on the shelves, and we had a launch party and really got the word out there. And so all of a sudden, we were selling cases of vodka at different stores, and we're like, okay, we need to keep up production, so this is real now.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably July-ish, I would say.
Awesome. So you have products right here in front of us. Could you describe them?
Yeah. So this is our Long Winter vodka. It's kind of our flagship vodka that we came out with. This was our original product that we started with. It's made from barley that's grown down in Delta Junction, so we keep everything as local as possible. We use their barley. There's really nothing else besides yeast that goes into it and water. So it's a totally local product. We're a real sustainable distillery. We recycle all our cooling water. The grain after it turns into vodka, the spent grain that's left over goes to the farmer that's in the neighborhood. He feeds his pigs with it and stuff. So we're really sustainable and local that way. That Delta barley gives it a really nice little flavor. Vodka doesn't have much flavor to it, but what's there is kind of a sweet, almost a caramel kind of
vanilla flavor to it.
So it has a few of those notes in it. And yeah, it's a really smooth product. It's smoother than most out there. And the fact that it's made with local stuff is pretty much what we're going for. There's so many micro distilleries popping up nowadays, and it's kind of hard to tell. A lot of them, their products aren't really, I don't really know how to put this. Basically, you can buy a rail car full of vodka and put it in a bottle and call yourself a distillery. Where, to me, the real ones are the ones that are actually making it from the local ingredients and going from there. So, and then our gin is just now going on the market, hopefully soon. This one's still jumping through some federal hoops before we can actually sell it in the store. We have to get the label approved before it can go into the store. So that's right now, but between the government shutdown and all that, they're backlogged pretty good. So it'll be about 6 weeks before you'll see that on the shelf.
Oh, wow. And so, like, what is the difference, at least when you're making them, between gin and vodka?
Mostly the juniper and the botanical bill that goes into here. This vodka is basically you're making a pretty pure ethanol product, and then you're diluting it down to the vodka strength that you want. Where gin, you're adding more botanicals to it. So, like for instance, ours has juniper has to be the main constituent, so that's what most of the flavor comes from in it. But we also have coriander, cardamom. We have a little bit of mace, iris root, that sort of thing. And we actually round ours off with some rhubarb too to kind of give it that Alaskan flair. And it's rhubarb right out of our yard. So that's what gives it most of the citrus notes that are in that one.
Cool. So I know that they make vodka from like potatoes and other grains. Why did you choose barley specifically?
Mostly how plentiful it was and kind of yield-wise is why we chose it as well. Potatoes are a decent way to make vodka, but they're a little harder to work with. You don't get as much alcohol yield per pound as you would out of potatoes, and they're harder to deal with. You got to peel them, wash them. There's kind of special equipment involved. Where barley, we can pretty much get it right from the farmer, grind it up, and ferment it from there.
All right. So what has been your biggest challenge so far, whether commercially or personally, as you're trying to grow a successful business?
Boy, I think the hardest part so far is just getting the word out there and doing some of the advertising stuff.
Advertising seems difficult, and I think making that leap from just having a small amount of product out there to expanding how much we have out there, because we both also have day jobs, and to be able, if we're going to raise the demand, then to be able to keep up with the demand would be difficult. So we're kind of in a little balancing act right now, trying to figure out when do we make that leap, because we'll have to make some changes if we were.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your day jobs are, but do you find that they help you in any way with this passion of yours?
Not mine, no. But my background is in chemistry, so I don't find it a big leap to go from that to distilling. And Rob's got a lot of background in chemistry as well from college. So.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And I did several years working out at the North Pole Refinery too, and it's a kind of a similar process that we use. They're just manufacturing crude oil. We're manufacturing from barley grains to make ethanol. So.
Where do you get your ethanol from?
From the barley.
Okay. How does that work?
It pretty much all starts with the barley, and barley's really high in starch, and starch is the key to all of this. So what you do is you take that barley and all that starch, and there's a certain process called mashing, where you're basically adding hot water and you're controlling temperatures and things like that, and there's enzymes and things involved, and that'll convert the starch to sugars.
Okay.
So the key is you take that starch, you convert it to simple sugars, and that gives something to eat for the yeast. So the yeast really likes that sugar. When it eats it, it makes CO2 and ethanol. And that's basically how you make beer. And then you take that beer and concentrate it in the still, and that's how you get you're basically purifying that ethanol out of the beer.
Okay. So, where do you guys see yourself as a company 5 years from now? And how do you plan on getting there and achieving that?
Boy, where do we see ourselves in 5 years?
I'm not sure. Pretty much we're taking it day by day right now. Seeing how it goes. We'll try and advertise a little more, see if it becomes popular, if it becomes a sustainable business for us, then potentially we'll make that our main jobs. But that's a long ways away yet, I feel. Like right now we're doing pretty well doing it on weekends and evenings, and then I have off in the summers, so I distill full time in the summer, and works out pretty well for now. But 5 years from now, gosh, it would be awesome if if it had taken off, and we're spread out across the state and doing really well. But I think right now we're happy sticking mostly with Fairbanks. And
Okay. Yeah, that brings me to the next question. Where can you purchase the Long Winter vodka?
Right now we're in 3 different stores. We've got Northern Vines, which is in kind of that China Pump Plaza kind of area right there. And then we've got Gold Hill Liquor. It's out towards Esther there. And then Gold Star Liquor as well. And we're kind of getting into the bar scene a little bit now. We're approaching some bars trying to get our product in there. And we haven't actually sold any bars yet. So
no, we haven't worked very hard on that yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I visited your Facebook page, facebook.com/Ursa Major Distillery.
Ursa Major Distilling.
There we go. And it seemed pretty cool because you had some like photo challenges. And like, could you describe that a little bit about that?
Well, the one was a photo challenge. It was just I had a lot of flowers in my yard that year. This summer, I just took a picture, put it up there, see if someone could identify it. Just fun, kind of get some people on the page. And then we also did a label challenge where we did a case of labels. The labels themselves were different, or were the same, but I had signed the label where Rob generally signs them. And so we kind of put it out there that there was something different with 12 labels, and if one of our consumers could find out what was different and post a picture to the page, then they would get a free t-shirt. And we did get one person who recognized the difference and posted it up there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I just saw an episode of Mythbusters where they take like low quality vodka and they filter it like 5 times through a Brita filter. And supposedly it's supposed to make it smoother. Have you guys heard about that, or
Yeah.
is there any truth to that?
There is, yeah. It depends on what you use. There's different types of carbons and things to do that. And most decent vodkas are filtered, and ours are as well. We filter it through carbon. But there's a lot of touch and go. There's some carbons are better than others. They're probably all different than the Brita ones, but they do take some of the harshness out, add a little bit of smoothness, and certain ones will actually add a little body to the vodka as well.
So where can people find you if they want to learn more about you? And
Boy, the Facebook page is probably the best way. That and our webpage, ursamajor.com.
ursamajordistilling.com.
Distilling.com.
Yeah. So we have a web page there, contact information and product information.
that's pretty good. It had a couple of recipes, mixed drink recipes on there.
Yeah.
From our launch party
That's pretty
there.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you give tours of your distillery?
Not really. We've given tours to friends and family, but it's on our property, and we kind of really haven't opened it up as kind of a place for everyone to just come by and check it out. We would love, eventually, this I guess would go with your 5-year question, to maybe be able to open up an actual distillery building in town and be able to do things like tours. But Rob knows a lot about the legislation. I guess right now in Alaska you can't do tastings at a distillery. So they're working on trying to find ways to alter that so that it would be legal here, because if you have a distillery, everybody's going to want to go and try your product, and we wouldn't be able to offer that right now.
Wow. So what has been the biggest challenge you would say that you didn't expect going into it?
Boy.
Is it all the red tape to get licenses and
Yeah,
stuff?
we expected all that. A lot of it's just kind of the biggest challenge are little things that come up along the way, because you can't really practice to be a distiller. You pretty much have to get legal and go from there. So just little things on, the amount of yields we're getting from the grains and things like that we're working through all the time. So.
All right. Thanks for being here, Rob and Tara.
Thanks for having
thank
us.
you.
You can find them at facebook.com/Ursa Major Distilling or www.ursamajordistilling.com. Up next is Nanette.
Good morning. Thanks for continuing to stay with us here at Fairbanks Focus Alaska View. I'm Nanette Pearson, and today I am joined by Michelle Maynor, founder of the Fairbanks Roller Girls. Hi, Michelle.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us
You
today.
bet. Thanks for having me.
Well, I have a lot of friends who are part of the Roller Girls, so I've known
Yes.
about you guys for a long time.
Excellent.
I've been actively being recruited, which I'm not quite sure about. I'm
Oh,
old
come
and
on.
creaky.
Come to the dark side.
Come to the
You're not
dark
old and creaky.
Well, tell us a little bit about Fairbanks Roller Girls for people who may not be familiar.
Okay, well, the Fairbanks Roller Girls were originally founded late 2007. We incorporated in 2008, so we're coming up on the anniversary here pretty soon. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is all volunteer run, all volunteer based. All of the skaters pay dues every month. We all own our own gear. We pay for our own uniforms. We put down our own track at the Carlson Center. I'm sure you've been there to see that a couple times. It's just a really great organization of really strong type A women that are doing something fun and athletic, and we get to support the community at the same time, and it's just been a fantastic run.
Cool. And tell me, so what kind of community things have you guys helped sponsor?
The list is pretty extensive. So at each of our events, our bouts, we do a 10% donation to another nonprofit organization in town. So every year we have an application process, and all the nonprofits submit their applications, and then we pick 5 or 6 of them that we're going to focus on, which is another way that we can bring attention to some other organizations that maybe are not quite as popular as roller derby. So they are able to come to our events and set up a booth and talk about the stuff that they do in the community, and then we give them a check at the next bout. And so we've been able to contribute thousands and thousands of dollars to other organizations, which has been super amazing. We also volunteer at Interior Alaska Grain Star, and we do the electronics recycling.
Wow.
We clean the highway. We are at pretty much every major volunteer event. There's always usually roller girls there doing something.
Well, and I've seen you guys out in the community because I volunteer quite a bit too, and it's pretty amazing. You guys are really everywhere and pretty extensive. And I've been to Zombie Prom sponsored by Roller Girls. I've been to a whole myriad of your guys' events, and it's super fun. But for people who might not know what roller derby is, can you give a little explanation to our audience
Absolutely.
out there?
Roller derby is a really, really old sport. It was actually started back in the Depression because they didn't have stuff to do and they didn't have money. And so they had these big skate-a-thons where originally the person who could skate the longest would get a prize. And it was 50 cents or something ridiculous. But back then it was a lot. And so it kind of evolved into this sport that has rules and a point system, and then it got condensed and it became what it is now. And so modern flat track roller derby was actually started in 2001 in Austin, Texas, which is an awesome place. And they kind of brought it back, and it was kind of more theatrical than it is now. It's I've been involved with the sport since I founded the league in 2007, and it has evolved so much since then. But basically what happens is there are 2 teams of 5 players on the track at one time, and 4 of those skaters are blockers, and one of them is the jammer, and that's the one that has the star panty on her helmet.
Okay.
And so there will be a whistle blown that starts the jam, and a jam is up to 2 minutes long, and that's how the time is broken down. We have 2 halves, and they're both 30-minute halves.
Okay.
And so it's broken down into these little jams, and you can have an unlimited amount of jams in it, because while they can last up to 2 minutes, they don't have to last up to 2 minutes. And so let's see, backtrack. So the pack takes off and the jammers take off, and the jammers have to break through the pack legally. And then the first jammer that gets through the pack legally is the lead jammer. So that has the strategic advantage of being able to call off the jam. Then the jammers race around back to the back of the pack, and then they get a point for each person on the other team that they pass.
Okay.
So it sounds pretty easy. The person with the most points at the end of the game is the one that wins. That's how it works. That's rule 2.2.2. So we have an extensive rule book. But then the blockers get to play both offense and defense, and I think we're one of the only sports where you don't have an offensive line and a defensive line. We both play, I play blocker position mostly, and so I get to help my jammer get through the pack, but also try to prevent the other jammer from getting through.
Okay.
And so that's when we work together and build walls and block the jammer out of bounds and things like that. So.
Well, and it's pretty, like you said, it sounds like it'd be really easy, but when you're actually out there watching it, it's pretty intense.
Yes.
It's pretty exciting. It's, I don't know how to explain it. It's sort of akin to, I don't know, what would you say, high impact roller skating.
Yes, it's very fast. It's an aggressive sport. It's not a violent sport. Back in the 70s when roller derby was popular on TV, it was very kind of WWE style, you know, where it was scripted and there was a lot of elbows. All of those things are illegal, and so it's becoming a highly strategic, highly athletic game. They are talking about putting it, you know, into some other events. Right now we have a World Cup of roller derby that happens each year, and we have teams from all over the world that are coming and competing. Argentina and Japan, and they have them in London. The London roller girls are fantastic. So it's a worldwide event.
Sounds really cool. And and we have a bout coming up right here in Fairbanks.
We do.
What day can people go check you guys out?
The bout is on Friday, November 8th. It's at the Carlson Center. Doors are going to open at 6 and wheels will roll at 7. It is our 2 home teams, which are the Raven Rebels and the Gold Diggers. So our home girls are going to go at it, and it's going to be a fun event. It's a fundraiser for Interior Alaska Green Star, which is an organization that we really, you know, feel very passionate about. And it's a ton of fun, and it's great family entertainment. So we have fans that come that are little fans all the way up to, you know, elderly fans, I guess. But it spans a wide demographic, which is a really neat thing. So
well, and it's really exciting to watch. It's a lot of fun. You know, there's a great sort of like communication going on, lots of exciting announcing, I guess is what I'm looking for, and it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend people get out there and check out the Roller Girls. Like you said, 10% of all your profits go to the local charity, and this time Green Star.
Yep.
So that's pretty exciting. And if people wanted to buy tickets in ahead of time, where would they go?
If you want to get them ahead of time, you can get them at Badger Barbershop, Expressway Automotive, Interior Graphics and Printing, Team Cutters, the Carlson Center, Ticketmaster, and River City Cafe. And if you get them early, they're $10 in advance. We do have discounts for military and seniors and kids. And if you wait to get them at the door, they're $16, and then you just have to wait in line, and it's cold, and you know. So if you get them ahead of time, then you have some fun saved up so that you can get, you know, an adult beverage or nachos, or actually the fudge pot comes.
Oh, the fudge pot? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I really like that stuff.
Yeah, I like that stuff too. And I know that you have something else going on this weekend, which I don't know if this is going to air in time, but tell the community a little bit about what you guys are doing this weekend.
This weekend we're having a meet and greet at the Curling Club on Saturday, and we are just kind of inviting the community to come and meet the Roller Girls, hang out with us in a social setting. We're going to have some silent auctions and some fundraising going on because we are a nonprofit organization, and you know, we have a warehouse that we rent. I have a 7,000 square foot warehouse that we practice in and stuff like that. So we have a lot of overhead, but not a lot of income. And so we're trying to do a little bit of fundraising and stuff too. But it's more to meet the community and let people know what we do. Our junior skaters are going to be there, so they can come and meet the junior girls and find out about junior roller derby. And it's really going to be a good event.
Well, my daughter's had friends in junior roller derby, the Roller
How
Girls.
come she's not in?
Well, she's gone most of summer. As part of the problem. But so tell me a little bit about the junior roller derby.
Junior roller derby is one of my favorite projects. I'm currently the coach of the junior league, and my daughter's been doing it now for 4 years that we've been doing it. And junior derby is exactly like adult roller derby, except it's for girls 10 to 17, and that's a really wide age range, but it's a really important, influential age range. And I'm not going to cry on TV, but I kind of get pumped about this. But there's so many changes that happen to girls when they go through this age group, and you know, there's so many sports like gymnastics. You have to be petite, and you have to be, you know, really flexible, and you know, for basketball you have to be really tall and really thin. And with derby, you can be any size. If you're a bigger girl, great, that's fine. We're going to make you a blocker. And if you're smaller and faster, then you'll probably be a jammer. But you don't, just because your body fits into a certain mold does not necessarily mean that that's the mold that you're going to be in. And junior derby it's a safe place for these girls to come. They learn team sports, they learn leadership, they are learning how to communicate with others. We treat them the same as we treat all the other roller girls. So I have girls that I coach that are 10, and sometimes I have a little language issue, but we're all on the same playing field, and it's really important for them to have that sort of an outlet. And the girls, I have girls that, when they started, they wouldn't talk to people, and they were just very shy and into themselves, and they're becoming confident, impressive leadership type women, and it's super important. So it just, I love this sport. So.
Well, and I always feel like it's so important, especially for girls that age, between 10 and 17. You need to be able to build that sense of camaraderie. You need to be able to get out there and exercise and have a safe place where you can communicate with other women or girls, especially when you're developing and all that good stuff too. And to have something so physical is also hard when you're a girl, to find something where it's physical and communicative as well as being active and fun. So that's great.
And they have some super great role models within our league. We have, right now we've got approximately 75 women on a roller derby league.
Wow.
And these are all professional women in the community. There's students, there's teachers, we have business owners, mothers, people in the military. I mean, it's such a wide base of women that these young roller girls get to look up to. And it's just, I don't know, it's the best thing I think I've done. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys are selling a calendar for 2014, and this is part of your fundraising, is that right?
It is part of our fundraising. It's Todd Paris from Paris Photographics. I'm sure you know him from the university stuff. He's our team photographer, and so he took a bunch of pictures, and we did, most of these are action shots. I'm trying to get it to, I didn't do a whole lot of TV stuff, but so I guess I'll just hold it up. And so he took a bunch of pictures of us doing stuff, not in on the track, I guess. And so we have that we're going to be selling.
Well, I know you're saying a lot of these women work right here in the community doing lots of great jobs, and so I love some of these. Like, I don't know if you can see, some of these are fantastic. I love this one here of these women here, obviously working at the hospital with their skates on.
Well, and this lady right here, her skater name is Bloody Show.
Oh, nice.
She's a midwife at the new Andrew Isaac Health Center.
Oh,
and
nice.
So she's delivering babies and stuff all the time, and her 2 daughters are in junior derby, and it's amazing to have this kind of extended family in the community.
Well, it's such an amazing sort of family fun activity for everybody. And so real quick, can you tell our viewers out there how they can get a hold of you if they want to be in roller derby, if they want to donate to the cause? Just let our people know out there.
If you want to find out more information about the Roller Girls, you can go to fairbanksrollergirls.org, which is our main website. We have links on there that you can send us funds through PayPal if you're so very inclined. We have a very active Facebook presence at facebook.com/FairbanksRollerGirls, and we're online quite often, so be sure to check us out, and it has all of the upcoming dates, and then definitely come to our bout on November 8th.
Awesome. And that bout's going to be at the Carlson Center?
Yes.
And people should be there by what time if they want to get in?
The doors open at 6. It's general admission seating, so I always encourage people to get there early, especially if you want to sit in the suicide seating section, which is down right on the track. We have some videos and stuff that we do that ahead of time that show people how the sport is like, but the wheels will roll at 7, and you want to get there early.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us today, Michelle.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate you coming. Get out there to the bout November 8th, and thanks for watching today at Fairbanks Focus Alaska View. I'm Nanette Pearson. We'll catch you again next week.